Well, we all know what cybersecurity means. It is the protection of computer systems from theft or damage to their hardware, software, or electronic data, as well as from disruption or misdirection of the services they provide. But not many people know this. Cyber is derived from cybernetic, from the Greek word that actually means skilled in steering. In a world based on connectivity and autonomy, cybersecurity is a major enabler to steer the smart mobility revolution in the right direction. So, welcome you all to our panel now, Cyber for Mobility. The moderator of our panel is Roni Zehavi, CyberSpark. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I would like to start by saying great encouragement to the organizers that have decided to organize this conference in a sabbatical in Tel-Aviv, which is fantastic. It's not very often that we get to see the roads in Tel-Aviv are so open and the access is so easy. So just to begin, I would like to invite my colleagues. So let's start by Yoni from Argus, Gennaro from Marlink, and Grant from BlackBerry. We have a big issue to discuss, and we don't want to spoil the day. So we come to talk about cybersecurity, and cybersecurity sometimes is perceived as something which is the bad news, right? We want to talk about sharing, we want to talk about opportunities, we want to talk about great technologies, and then comes the people with the cyber, and they make us all sad. So in a way, cyber is like healthcare, right? You can look at healthcare as a great thing that ensures the quality of life of everybody, and you can look at healthcare as something which is associated with disease and illness. But if somebody in the audience expected that we're going to talk about cyber technologies, then this is the wrong place. We are not going to talk about cyber technologies, we're going to talk about things which are on a much, much higher level than that. We want to talk about how do we ensure the trust, for example, of human society when we come to talk about transportation, where everything is going to be connected. Everything is about sharing. Everything is about having the data in the cloud. I will just dedicate 3 minutes to talk what to me is the essence of the problem as we are standing as we are facing the threshold of human society in that sense. There is an unwritten agreement in human society between the data providers and the data users. So for everybody here that came from abroad, you boarded an airplane. As you boarded an airplane, you were sitting in a tube that took you in 35,000 foot over the ocean, and you felt quite safe. You put your trust in the ecosystem of aviation. In this ecosystem, there are a lot of people, starting with the designers in Boeing or Airbus, all the way to the maintenance people that refuel the airplane, with the air traffic controllers, with the pilots, with everybody. You trust them to be as professional as they can be in doing what they do, in providing the right and authentical and reliable data. And in return, we, as the users, trust. We trust every time we buy milk in the supermarket, that all the ecosystem that took the milk from the cow all the way to the supermarket is safe. And we can give a lot of examples in how we put our body to the surgeon in hospital and so on and so forth. But there is a problem. And the problem is that when we come to talk about putting all this data in the cloud because we want to make our life much better and easy, we invite a lot of people that are outside this ecosystem, and we give them an access to the information. And the worst thing that can happen to us is that we as individuals in the modern human society will lose trust. We shall lose trust in the navigation system that we see in our car. We shall lose trust in the car itself because we never know if somebody has taken control of the brakes. We shall lose trust in the sharing, in the information, in everything. The cyber ecosystem around the world, considering this problem and say, how can we ensure the continuation And the preservation of this trust, having incorporated all this new technology that enables us a much better life. So these are the things we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about cyber technology. We're going to talk about trust. We're going to talk about ecosystem. We're going to talk about connectivity. We're going to talk about a lot of things that are related to how we consider cybersecurity as part of everything that we are doing. We have a very short time, so I will start by asking my great friends, each one of them to present himself, to introduce himself and what is he doing. Then we shall reassemble for the panel for a couple of questions. Hopefully we shall leave a couple of minutes for the floor to ask questions because we would like to hear what you have to say, and we try to conclude at the right time. So, Yoni?
That's not mine. That's not my presentation. Good morning, everybody. So, over the last few years, almost all car brands have been hacked. And why is that? Well, the problem begins when you have dozens of mini computers in today's modern car, and many of those mini computers are connected to the outside world. And then the equation is quite simple. If it's a computer, and if it is connected to the outside world, then in the end it is hackable. So Argus's philosophy towards this challenge is based on three pillars: prevention, understanding, and response. And as there is no one silver bullet to solve the cybersecurity challenge, we have devised 50 automotive cybersecurity patents that allow us to offer the industry the widest arrays of solutions to tackle this threat, from the single-level ECU to protecting and monitoring the in-vehicle networks, to protecting the most susceptible attack surfaces like infotainment and telematics units and their communication in and out of the vehicle. We also offer our backend platform to provide our customers with situational awareness to what's actually going on when it goes to the cyber health status of their fleet, and the means to respond in real time in case there are cyber attacks. In addition to that, we have specific solutions for the aftermarket. Let's say, for example, the little buggers known as OBD2 devices that many of us use to get lower insurance premiums. Then these little dongles are highly susceptible to cyber attacks. And to augment that, we have our own end-to-end over-the-air platform. So, in a nutshell, Argus is today the world's largest pure-play automotive cybersecurity company. We have 5 offices worldwide, 130 people and growing fast. We have a significant array of partnerships. One of the unique things in the DNA of the company is that we have a very unique mixture between cybersecurity people with cybersecurity background and people coming from the automotive industry. And today, we're already going into production, and we're working with the world's largest car manufacturers and their tier 1 suppliers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yoni. Gennaro, prego.
Good morning. I'm honored to be here. Gennaro strategy and business development and digital transformation in Marlink Group. It's really exciting to be in Israel. Sunny days, but also sunny ideas, insights, approaches, technologies, visionary leaders and companies where we can really reshape the mobility and industries such as shipping and logistics. Let me, before approaching the cyber matter, give a quick helicopter view of who we are. Marlink is the largest technology independent provider of end-to-end managed connectivity solutions for maritime and for enterprise customers. Is the leading maritime communication company. We serve more than one ship in three worldwide, leader probably in all maritime segments, shipping, merchant and cargo, cruise, fishing, leisure, mega yacht, and with more than 5,000 VSAT, high broadband, high throughput new generation services that are so important also to enable the digital solutions and also the transformative technologies and remote monitoring and management technologies that make so important cyber also in shipping. We work as a kind of network with a proprietary global network, scalable, flexible, and with a digital enablement platform and ecosystem of partners and startups and digital leaders to create a really integrated service portfolio of solutions that are very much with what we call as a vision, our smart connectivity vision, that is to create value for our customers by managing their SATCOM and digital solution, their onboard IT, evolving towards IT management and outsourcing, but also IoT and OT projects increasingly. Our bridge electronics and remote and predictive maintenance that is now evolving towards other domains in the ship's environment, ship automation, fleet management, propulsion, engine, and of course, last but not least, cybersecurity that is a common layer and that in our approach has to have an holistic vision and has to be integrated in our global network. Let me show you a quick video to make this a bit more tangible.
Marlink is at the forefront of digitalization, one of the most important evolutions currently taking place in the maritime industry. We provide best-in-class, high-quality, multi-band broadband connectivity via multiple satellite constellations. We deliver end-to-end connectivity solutions to all maritime segments around the globe to optimize vessels' business efficiency and enhance crew well-being. Our smart connectivity strategy sets new standards to bring the power of secure, digital and fully managed interconnection to our maritime customers. We enable the remote management of SATCOM services, onboard IT, cybersecurity, bridge electronics, saving shipping companies time and money. Through our highly qualified expert teams, we provide fully managed remote maintenance for satellite connectivity, solutions and antenna equipment in the most optimal way. Vessels IT network to standardize, automate and simplify your IT environment on board. Protect your interconnections through cybersecurity solutions. Keep bridge electronics such as radars, GMDSS, ECDIS fully operational and maintained to stay in line with latest regulations. We take total care of our customers' smart connectivity and provide them with secure, digital and fully managed smart solutions. Customers on shore can rely on our experienced experts to monitor and proactively manage their vessels to fully optimize its performance. This not only improves efficiency and safety, It allows for a more transparent and efficient vessel operation and optimizes total cost of ownership. We bring the power of smart connectivity to our maritime customers' operations. Our customers can focus on what they know and do best, managing their day-to-day business, while we securely manage their broadband connectivity, IT networks and bridge electronics. Top maritime customers globally rely on our fully managed smart connectivity solutions for total peace of mind. Marlink, the pioneer in business-critical IT, communication and digital solutions customers can rely on.
So, basically, actually, CyberGuard is how we have called an umbrella of solutions, because actually what is needed is an integration of protect, detect and resolve. To give you an idea of the stake, as you probably know, a recent report suggested that for the 150 hours that Maersk systems were down to a cyber attack, 435 million worth of revenue could be affected. Forbes predicts that in 2019 the total cost of cybercrime will be in the range of 2 billion. So it's really a big stake, and what we are doing is to create an integrated suite of solutions from the detection and mitigation of attack, protection of course, first of all, but also the green part that is how to resolve, also exploiting SOC, security operating centers, and collaboration with the ecosystem, with partners, and including startups to have a complete eye of what's going on board. So integrating it, making it actually integrated in our global network. Also another important thing is to have it, to make it easy to install, no practically zero installation, easy to implement, and also very compelling in terms of dashboard and user interface that through an assured gateway are transmitted to ship managers or ship owners. This is possible thanks to our digital approach that includes customers, innovation program, open innovation programs and incubators, best incubators from around the globe. One is here in this region, that is the DOC, but also strategic digital partners, startups that are actually like speedboats, because they are really agile, fast, and can bring new ideas and new technologies, approaches, and business models. And of course, last but not least, what we call evergreen new ventures, universities, and tech cities. Thank you.
Not sure if I'm going to go left or right. So thank you for coming. I am absolutely thrilled to be here and enjoying the vibe, the excitement, the energy, the spirit of cooperation. It's my first time in Israel, and just seeing all of these technology companies come together, both players or companies that have been in automotive or mobility for a while, as well as new entrants, because we all know we're seeing a lot of disruption. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time, not much, about 5 minutes, giving you a quick overview of QNX and then some of the trends that you're seeing. I've been with QNX since the late 80s. QNX is a company as part of BlackBerry. Just show of hands, how many of you are familiar with QNX in terms of automotive? Okay, that's good. So for some of you, this will be a quick review. Others, I think, will shed some insight, and happy to talk to anybody afterwards. So started in engineering, now in charge of product management and strategy at BlackBerry QNX. We were acquired by BlackBerry in 2010. For those of you that were here yesterday, Dinesh Paliwal, CEO of Harman, we were actually part of Harman in 2004. They acquired us. So we were actually a tier, for those of you that know the supply chain, we were actually part of a tier one, Harman, one of the largest in the world.
So just very quickly, in terms of BlackBerry QNX, these are some of the systems that we're in. We're going to talk about shared mobility, but I wanted to put this forward because people say, where will I find QNX or BlackBerry QNX technology? And all I have to say is it's everywhere but the desktop. So we're in life-critical, mission-critical, safety-critical systems. Everything from MRI machines to laser eye surgery, to energy infrastructure, to avionics systems. The largest routers in the world run QNX. We're in brake controllers and rail communication systems, and the common thread in all of these is safety, security, and reliability. Because if we're going to get to automated and autonomous vehicles and earn the public's trust, these vehicles, whatever they may be, have to work reliably and safely and work that way 100% of the time. And that's where we come from. That's part of our DNA. So in terms of automotive, we're in well over 120 million cars on the road today, and we're in multiple systems within the car. We provide operating system software, middleware, software for safety systems. We're in telematics systems, infotainment systems, acoustic systems, rear seat entertainment, safety systems now, digital instrument clusters. We're in over 40 automakers. That number is actually close to 300 vehicle models. And almost the most important point on this slide is the 100% success rate. Automotive is extremely difficult and extremely unforgiving. You have to say what you're going to do and deliver every time. Again, especially as vehicles become more drive-by-wire. So we're very proud of that. We've never missed a start of production date, ever, in our 20-year history. We've been delivering software in automotive for 20 years now. So it's an industry that we understand extremely well and are thrilled and are actively involved in the disruption that's occurring. So just a quick slide on some of the trends, and some of you probably know this and you've probably seen this before, but in modern vehicles, and especially the premium vehicles, you'll see over 100 ECUs or systems in a car. Easily. The largest number of ECUs I've ever seen is 142. And the problem that's occurring is that you get more and more software in the car, more controlled by software in the car. That doesn't scale anymore. You can't just keep adding ECUs. So you're going to see terms like domain controllers and high-performance computing. In terms of the amount of software, everybody quotes 100 million lines of software. Most of that, by the way, is in the infotainment system. And that's where we've had most of our historical success. Today, it's all about safety and security. So what's happening is you're seeing that large number of ECUs consolidate into what are called domain controllers. And this is why you see companies like Qualcomm and Intel and NVIDIA and Renesas and NXP and MediaTek, new entrants, all looking to offer more higher performance computers or higher performance domain controllers, because you're not going to have the hundreds of ECUs or over 100 ECUs in a car anymore. It's going to consolidate. Tremendous change in architecture in the vehicle, tremendous complexity. And that's driving a lot of what we do. We do software for inside of the car. We also have over-the-air software update solutions and tools for security and whatnot, but our primary focus at BlackBerry and at QNX is software in the car. High-performance, safe and secure software in the car. These are kinds of the software platforms that we provide in the vehicle. Again, some are traditional, some are emerging in terms of ADAS. From a safety and security perspective, and I won't have time to give you an overview of everything we do, but definitely please come and talk to me afterwards. There really are two aspects to what we need to make sure we do absolutely correctly going forward. Otherwise, we will not gain the consumer trust, and we will not deliver on that level 5 vehicle, no matter how close or how far out it is, and we can all debate about that. In automotive, there is a safety standard, and it's called ISO 26262. There's various levels to it. It's an ISO standard. Edition 1 was in 2011. Edition 2 will actually be November or December. It's something you can get certified to. You can take to a third-party certification authority, and it's something the industry has agreed on. It wasn't forced or mandated by government either. It's something the industry agreed that this is what we should do. On the security side, we've got work to do. Because guess what? Today, I can show you, or I can show anyone, that we are certified by a third-party authority, as is other software and hardware platforms, to an international standard that's accepted within automotive. On the security side, that doesn't exist. There are guidelines, there are best practices, and we're all working hard to make sure cars are secure, vehicles are secure, and connectivity to vehicles are secure, but there is no certification, there is no certificate that you can get for software in a car that you can count on or that anybody can hold to measure your quality or your level of security or resiliency in a car. There's work to do there. There's one group called 21434. They actually had certification as part of it, but that was dropped most recently, and that's going to take another couple of years. But for many years, and one of the recommendations of things I'd love to see Canada and Israel and others work together on is a cybersecurity standard in automotive, because that does not exist today, one that you can get certified to. Last slide. So what we've done to encourage this is we all understand security has to be holistic. Security can't be an afterthought. It can't be something you add on to a car. And security is all about resiliency. Safety is about making sure the vehicle will operate reliably, safely, and consistently when something goes wrong in hardware and software. Security is all about when someone's attacking your vehicle at the worst possible time and never relents on attacking your vehicle, how are you going to resist that and keep the vehicle operating safely? So this is a cybersecurity recommendation we've had. We presented this on Parliament Hill in Canada. We presented this on Capitol Hill in the US. We've worked with a number of authorities, and you'll see various versions of this, but I think we'd all agree security has to be holistic. It's not something that, again, can be an afterthought. It's everything from manufacturing of the chip, to development of the software, to the execution of the software, to delivery of the software, right to the retirement of the vehicle. And that's really how we have to approach security, and I think most of the companies here I've spoken to understand that, and it's going to be really exciting to bring that forward to autonomous vehicles, because this is exactly what we need to do, because you cannot have safety without security. You cannot have a safe vehicle unless it's a resilient or a secure vehicle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man. So I would like to take it right from where Grant has stopped and talk a little bit about connectivity and talk a little bit about where does the border lie between the various entities that are constructing the transportation ecosystem. So if we look at the distinguished members, think about it, it's very interesting because we talk about transportation and there is not even one OEM here at the table. So we have a small startup that started and has been acquired by Continental. We see Marlink, that is a company that provides software and solutions for the maritime industry, and we have BlackBerry here. And my question to you is, where does the responsibility lie? Is it the software provider, the technology provider, the solution, the operator? Who is in charge at the end of the day to provide this trust that we keep on talking about? Yoni, you want to start?
So as Grant has articulated very nicely, currently there is no binding standard for automotive cybersecurity. So it's basically up to the will, let's say, of the OEMs and the tier 1 suppliers to make sure that they are providing the best and the most secure products. In the end, OEMs are the ones that introduced connectivity into the vehicle for different reasons. And from my perspective at least, till there is something which is binding, it's absolutely their responsibility to make sure that the product which they are providing is actually safe and secure. It's quite simple.
Yeah, it's a big team, especially in the shipping and logistic industry. We have to bring together several aspects: data ownership, regulation topics, shipping customers, operational requirements, and various business models, converging business models in many cases. Well, then, if the data is the new oil and AI, artificial intelligence is the engine, and as a smart connectivity company I can say, and I strongly believe that smart connectivity and digital engagement platform are the vehicle, actually you see that you have to take into account and bring together many actors, data sources owners and content providers, IoT, OT, monitoring, prediction companies, connectivity companies as well, O&M, and last but not least, I would say firstly, shipping customers that have to protect their assets, but also protect their systems, infrastructure, and sensible data.
Absolutely agree, and at the end of the day, the liability and the risk is owned by the automaker. We all feed into the automotive ecosystem. We all provide products and services for the vehicle, whether it's car, truck, or other. But at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, if something bad happens, it's the automaker in the case of cars that owns that responsibility. So we're all working very collaboratively together, both again established participants in the automotive supply chain as well as new entrants. And as I said, automotive is extremely unforgiving, and it's a multi-layered issue. And with the architecture of the car changing, the good news is that we can leverage existing technologies in other markets, defense and aerospace, for instance, in networking. You're starting to see more routers in cars, or they'll be called gateways, for instance, which you didn't necessarily see in all of the vehicles in the past. You're starting to see secure gateways in car. You're going to start to see Ethernet in the car. You're going to see that added resiliency from a security perspective, but it is a multi-layered issue. The car, Prime Minister Netanyahu made a great analogies yesterday, saying the car will become like a smartphone on wheels. And I agree, the car or the vehicle is very, very complex, with, again, a supply chain which is extremely complicated. And a lot of integrations. There's a lot of work that has to be done. But at the end of the day, the car has to become a platform. It has to become a platform for applications, for services, because automakers know they'll make roughly about 10 times more revenue off of the services they can deliver to a car than the actual sale of the car. So they want to get there, but we have to earn the trust of the consumer. We have to make this work every time.
So, in that context, I would like to probably elaborate a little bit about the term that we usually use and we call ecosystem. So when we talk about ecosystem, I would like to ask you, how do you relate to the joining together, and what is the role of government, of academia, and the private industry, and how do they work together? I know that, for example, BlackBerry, you are working quite close with Waterloo University, right? So, and I'm sure that each of the companies are related in this way or another, and there is a big question in terms of what is the role of. We hear a lot about private-public partnership. We hear a lot about startups that are working together with the universities. Universities are establishing their own innovation centers and incubators. How do you see that as a part of the solution as we move forward?
So there is one very good example which is currently being run in the US. It's called the Auto ISAC. It's a non-profit organization which basically encompasses most of the OEMs and Tier 1 suppliers. And the goal of this organization is to share information, frankly share information about new vulnerabilities, new threats, and make sure that everybody is aware, as in the end, cybersecurity should not be seen as a competitive edge to any of the OEMs or the Tier 1 suppliers. And this is something that still needs further education. Many of the OEMs and the Tier 1s prefer not to discuss what they have been doing with regard to cybersecurity. And if you want to gain people's trust, from my perspective, I think that quoting Judge Louis Brandeis, who said that sunlight is the best of disinfectants, in the end, I think that this is something which could be applied here as well. The more you tell on what you're doing, you gain trust.
Thank you. Well, I showed in one of my slides how important it is for us, for the industry, we believe, to work as an hybrid ecosystem and to collaborate, to actually join forces in experimenting, co-creation, co-developing and testing new solutions and applications. Especially startups are very important in this, also to find the right human capital. It is a big part of it, because inventing new intelligent applications at the intersection of individuals, of human beings, and technology and machines becomes critical, and is where startups can really make a difference in our experience, in our vision. Also demography of CIFARES community, of data science, technology engineers, in SATCOM, in the ICT industry, in the shipping industry, play a critical role. So it's a combination of all that, and let me say that also leveraging Israel's Smart Mobility Hub enablers. The most scientists and engineers in the workforce in the world are here. The cyber excellence centers that are in the region is certainly a fantastic opportunity for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely agree, and I'll keep it brief, but essentially, yes, the car is moving from individual components, discrete components, to more of a platform that will be populated by an ecosystem. And what's really interesting to see today is you're seeing Google, for instance, you're seeing Apple, you're seeing Amazon entering the automotive market. Why? Because of data. Automotive is hard and there's not a lot of margin in automotive. So they're entering that market for data. They want to own the eyes and ears and whatnot of the consumer and of everyone in the vehicle, for instance. And which is presenting some interesting opportunities and cooperation between the automakers. Because early on, the automakers, I don't think, really saw the value in the data, and now they do. So I think you're going to see an application ecosystem, but then you're also going to see an ecosystem which is more what BlackBerry QNX is working on, which is a platform for the car based on safety and security, not so much, say, on the applications. So you'll be able, for instance, to download something to your car to maybe change the suspension settings if you're going to drive on a track, for instance. Or you can rent applications and whatnot. Or you can provide various services to the car, but again, that has to rely on a platform. We had the gentleman from Waze yesterday. Waze wouldn't exist unless there was a platform. Now, Waze doesn't run in the car. It's running through Android Auto and whatnot, but that kind of application couldn't exist because automotive today is very proprietary. There is no standard shrink wrap platform in automotive at all. Each automaker has their own interface and whatnot, and that's one of the nice things that Android Auto and CarPlay and Ford SDL are bringing to the table is more of a standard interface. But again, that's more at an app level, at a consumer level, but you are going to see that platform become an ecosystem with traditional automaker participants. I think you're going to see major players. Right here in Israel, there's a company called Autonomo that are providing a platform as well. Very interesting. Who's going to win at the end of the day? I don't know, but we're all working towards that same goal.
Thank you, Grant. Our time is nearly up, so I just want to conclude with one question, if I may, to each of the panel members. Try to make it as 1 minute reply, and this is what keeps you awake at night.
So from my perspective, what keeps me awake at night is the possibility that one day I'll wake up and I'll hear that there's been a huge cyber attack on vehicles. Now, I know what I know, that it is already feasible today, and you have already dozens of millions of cars that are susceptible to cyber attacks. So my, I would say, main problem or issue is that there is, in the industry, there's something which is, I would call a lack of sense of urgency. There are certain OEMs that run fast for deployment of cybersecurity solutions, but some are still lagging behind, waiting either for calamity to happen or for the regulator to tell them what to do. And they're still sitting on the bench and waiting for something to happen. So for me, knowing that these manufacturers are, in a way, risking people's safety is something that really keeps me awake.
Thank you. Gennaro, 1 minute.
Well, big question. What keeps me up at night, I guess, is struggling on how to make the change that I want to see in the world, to make it more sustainable, inclusive, healthy, secure for our children. Actually, every day there is 1 million persons in the world that are affected by cyber attacks, cyber crimes. That is twice the new babies were born. So certainly we have to work on it in many areas, not only on cybersecurity, but this is certainly a very important layer and enabler. And actually I struggle where to find ethic, integer, brilliant minds to do that together, because we have to do that together. And I have a good example these days.
So what's keeping me up at night lately? As I have a 7-year-old daughter, and she's gotten in the habit of getting up in the middle of the night, waiting to be tucked in. So that's what wakes me up every night. But on the technology front, really what I'm most concerned, I know we'll get there. And we can all debate how long it's going to take to get to a level 5 vehicle. It's not tomorrow. It's not in 5 days. It's 5 years. It's not even in 10 years. It's beyond that. And we'll see. We're all working towards that goal. But what I'm really concerned about is a strong word. What I don't want to see happen, and I think this was echoed earlier, is for any of the automakers or anybody that's putting a car on the road with technology to rush into this. The worst thing we could do is exactly that, is to rush into it. Because right now, the consumer knows, and they're concerned about cybersecurity in the vehicle. They know the car is becoming drive-by-wire, and anytime there's an accident involving an autonomous vehicle, whether it was caused by the autonomous vehicle or not, the consumer takes a step back and they go, see, I told you, this isn't ready. So all of us, I know, we're working closely together to make sure that that doesn't happen, but I think unfortunately there's still some players out there that are, I'll say, pushing the envelope and are rushing some things. I won't name any names, but really it's take a step back, keep it safe, keep it secure, keep it reliable, because if we lose the consumer confidence, that will have a ripple effect that will be very difficult to recover from, and that will spread through the technology industry. Governments will step in and all of a sudden clamp down and not allow the testing that we need to do. So that's the one thing, and I think the major automakers that produce vehicles in volume, they're not doing that. They're not rushing into it. Some of the others, unfortunately, I think, are rushing into it, and that's the one thing we got to look out for.
Thank you, Grant. That's a great closure because we started with trust and we ended with trust. As we say, time flies by when you enjoy. I would like to thank my panel members, give them a big applause because I think it was a great day. Thank you very much.
Well, one of the first and most important lessons we teach our children is how to share. It turns out that sharing is not necessarily something that comes to us naturally. So what does it really mean to know how to share and be shared? Well, please welcome Ole Harms, CEO of Moya.